Top 10 Most Dangerous Countries. Although something bad can happen to you in the statistically safest countries, there are places in the world that are best avoided if you want to lead a safe, peaceful existence. One of the most authoritative sources on this topic is the Institute of Economics and Peace, an international non-partisan think tank based in Sydney, Australia, dedicated to positive, achievable, and concrete measures of human well-being and development. Focuses on peace. As part of this mission for the past 15 years, IEP has been analyzing data on 23 different indicators, from homicide and violent crime rates to terrorism, political instability, violent protests, and arms importation. All that information compiles its annual Global Peace Index, which ranks countries based on how peaceful they are or conversely how dangerous they are. In the IEP's Global Peace Index 2021 report released in June, the organization concluded that the world has become less peaceful overall, with peace improving in 87 countries but deteriorating in 73 others, which the decline is usually greater than the improvement elsewhere. While a low ranking on the index doesn't directly equate to a risk of violence, ranking among the 10 least peaceful countries almost always means that a country is involved in an ongoing conflict, has high levels of violence, or is highly militarized. So, which are the 10 most dangerous countries in the world? In this video, these countries are ranked as the least dangerous according to the IEP index. Therefore, you are requested to watch this valuable and informative video till the end. Welcome to Infoverse. In this list, 10th most dangerous country name is Russia. According to the IEP report, unlike the rest of the peaceful bottom 10, Russia had no internal armed conflict, but Russia saw the largest increase in violent protests. In response to the poisoning and detention of opposition leader Alexei Navalny, Russians took to the streets despite police attempts to disperse them by force. According to the IEP report, more than 8,500 were arrested. Also, ordinary Russians who are not opposed to the regime do not necessarily see their country as a dangerous place to live. Only 21% of the population said they are very worried about becoming a victim of violent crime, and less than 10% have actually experienced violence. In this list, 9th most dangerous country name is Central African Republic. According to the IEP report, violence cost the Central African Republic CAR 37% of its gross domestic product in 2020. President Faustin Archange Touadéra was seeking a second term and accused his predecessor Francois Bozes of attempting a coup with rebel group. On 4 January 2021, the National Elections Authority declared President Touadéra the winner. According to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, former President Bozes' allies attacked the towns despite a 2019 peace deal between the government and 14 non-state armed groups. About 20% of the Ceremonese population fled the violence and insecurity surrounding the December 2020 elections, spreading to neighboring Cameroon, Chad and Congo. Another 164,000 people are displaced within the Central African Republic. On number 8 in this list, most dangerous country name is Libya. According to Human Rights Watch, 15 months of fighting between the armed groups, which ended in June 2020, left hundreds of civilians dead and missing and thousands displaced. But a year later, the African nation is still suffering from severe civil unrest and political instability. According to the IEP report, about 45% of Libyans have personally experienced violence in the past 2 years, and more than 25% consider violence to be the biggest threat in their daily life. The country rates at the extreme level of risk for travelers on a travel risk map compiled by health and safety management firm SOS International. In this list, 7th most dangerous country name is Democratic Republic of the Congo. According to the IEP report, Congo made the list in 2020 due to deteriorating relations with neighboring Zambia over disputed territory, which has led to border clashes between the two countries' forces. The violence cost Congo 9% of its gross domestic product. As of November 30, 2021, the US State Department rated Congo as a travel reconsideration country, noting that violent crime such as armed robbery, armed home invasion, and assault is common, and local police lack the resources to respond effectively. For serious crime, attackers may pose as police or security agents. And in this list, 6th most dangerous country name is Somalia. It's where 18 US Special Forces personnel were killed in a bloody 1993 shootout with Somali rebel forces, an incident that featured in Mark Bowden's book Black Hawk Down, A Story of Modern War. A film was also made based on it, but more than a quarter century later, Somalia is still a violent place. As of June 17, 2021, the US State Department classified Somalia as a do not travel country, noting that kidnappings, murders, and other violent crimes are common and terrorist attacks airports, government buildings, and hotels, and continue to target shopping areas where people gather to attack with car bombs, mortars, and suicide bombers. 20% of the African country's population has been displaced by ongoing fighting between government forces and the militant group Al-Shabaab. According to the IEP report, 34.9% of the country's economic output has been lost due to violence. And in this list, on number 5 most dangerous country name is Iraq. The Middle East nation has been among the 5 least peaceful countries in the world in the IEP index since 2015. According to the IEP, terrorist deaths have declined since the defeat of ISIS, but as of November 22, 2021, the US State Department designated Iraq a no-travel country, noting that American citizens in Iraq are at high risk of torture and kidnapping. Terrorist and insurgent groups regularly attack Iraqi security forces and civilians. Anti-American sectarian militaries, armed groups threaten American citizens and Western companies. Attacks using improvised explosive devices (IEDs) occur in several areas of the country, including Baghdad. According to the Lloyd's Register Foundation report, less than a third rate the Iraqi government very highly for providing safe food and water and reliable electricity. On number 4 in this list, most dangerous country name is South Sudan. The African nation seceded from Sudan and launched an independent state in 2011, but conflict between the two countries has left South Sudan unstable, with abuses against civilians included appalling level of sexual violence. According to the US State Department, has forced 4 million people to leave their homes. According to the IEP report, the African country lost 40% of its gross domestic product to violence in 2020. And in this list, third most dangerous country name is Syria. Political stability in the Middle Eastern country has improved somewhat as President Bashar al-Assad has strengthened his grip on power. Nevertheless, the threat of terrorism has increased in Syria, and the country faced continued attacks by ISIS and Al-Qaeda in 2020, according to the IEP report. Syria suffered the most devastating economic impact from the violence, losing 82% of its economic output. Decades of civil war had created a humanitarian crisis. The UN Refugee Agency estimates that 5.5 million people, many of them children, have fled Syria since the fighting began in what has become the world's biggest refugee crisis in decades. And in this list, on number 2 most dangerous country name is Yemen. According to the IEP, the Persian Gulf nation has been experiencing declining peace since 2008. According to the Council on Foreign Relations, The civil war between the Saudi-led coalition and Iran-backed Houthi rebels has killed 100,000 people since 2015. In addition, Yemen is increasingly plagued by violent crime. About 13% of the population consists of refugees or internally displaced persons. The poll shows that 51% of people in Yemen consider themselves less safe than in the past. In the Lloyd's Register Foundation World Risk poll conducted in 2019, Yemen was ranked worst in the world for the population's perception of whether the government did a good job of providing safe food and water and reliable electricity. And in this list, on number 1 most dangerous country name is Afghanistan. Afghanistan earned the unwelcome distinction of being the least peaceful place on earth for the further year in a row on the IEP's index, even after the fall of the South Asian country's Western-backed government and the sudden fall of Taliban's militants in the summer of 2021. Before possession, according to the IEP, terrorism has the highest impact on any country, although this rate has also declined in recent years along with deaths from internal conflict. Since the Taliban takeover, few people have been allowed to leave the country, and according to Human Rights Watch, Taliban forces have executed former officials and raided the homes of journalists, activists, and human rights defenders. The rights of women and girls are under attack, and many women who were previously in high positions have been fired. Violence in Afghanistan increased GDP by 40% in 2020. In addition to military rivalries, Afghanistan also has serious crime problems. In a 2019 Gallup poll, only 13% of Afghans felt safe walking alone at night, and 50% said they had money or property stolen from them. A lack of peace in low-ranking countries can be a problem for residents and visitors. It depends on the country and the type of violence, says Thomas Morgan. A country at the very bottom of the index is likely to suffer from some form of open conflict, meaning peace is an issue for both residents and visitors. Hope you enjoy this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next wonderful video. Until then, goodbye.